Hi everyone, this is Lien and welcome back to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. Today I'm showing you how I personalized my card by showing my own love story. So it's really simple to recreate this card and make it really personal for you. Also there are other options to make this card your own. So let's get started. First of all, I'm using this adorable stamp set Love Story from Crafty Meraki. I think I almost used every image from this set right now, and I don't do that often when I have new stamps. Most of the time I have one favorite image, but this stamp set truly, it is just amazing all over. In the past videos that I shared here and also the other crafters, I used the others. Today I'm using this one where they are sitting on the bench, and I just love how cute this scene is. Now, aside from that, today is a really special day for me. This morning I got married, and so I took this as an excuse to make a really personal card, which I normally don't do. But again, as I said, there are so many ways to make this your own and create your own love story card. As you're seeing, I am using Copic Markers to color these images in, and if you want to revisit the color combinations, then definitely check out the link towards my blog post in the description box, because there I have it all listed for each part of this image. And then the paper that I'm using, which is also really important, is Transotype Perfect Coloring Paper. It's a really good paper to color with Copic Markers. It can handle quite a lot of layers, and if at a certain point it cannot handle the layers anymore, just wait or heat set it and then you're ready to go again. I'm coloring from darkest marker towards my lightest marker. That's the way I prefer Copic coloring, but there are many ways to color with alcohol markers in general, and it's all about finding the way that works for you and that gives you that end result that you really like. So you do you, and if you like the color combination, then definitely check out the blog post. But for the rest, I'm sure that you can create this image your own way and color it in how you want. Now, if you know me by now, then you know that I try to start with the hardest parts of the image, which is for me the skin tone and the hair. So that's what I'm doing here. Also the bench, I had no clue which colors I was going to use, so that's also why I did that ahead of the rest of the coloring. And once that's over with, once the difficult part is done, I'm sure that the clothing or all the other stuff will not ruin the image that I'm coloring in at that certain point. So here I'm trying to do some flicking. I'm deciding where the hairline of the guy is, and then I'm flicking towards the hairline and away from the hairline. And that's how I create that highlight right in the middle. Here the same way. The ponytails were a bit harder for me personally, and I still need to figure out how I want to color that in. But there are again many ways, and if you prefer just deciding where the shadow is and not doing the flicking method, that's perfectly fine. That's gorgeous as well. You do you again. I'm going to color this image completely except for the heart, because I wanted to use a heart all over the card, and so I decided to replace that heart by a heart sprinkle. But you can definitely use this heart or other hearts to go over your complete panel. Now, aside from this image, you maybe saw it in the beginning, I'm also using the Heartfelt Love from My Favorite Things, which is this gorgeous die where you have love and the O from the love is replaced by a heart. Now, I love that element, but today I'm not using that. Today I am replacing the O or the heart by this image. I think it's always really fun if you have a certain letter that you can replace by the image and just keep it neat and tidy, but at the same time really cute because you use an image. I just really adore that. I forgot here to do the legs, but I just fixed that. And then I'm onto the pinks. I'm going to give this girl like a whole pink outfit. I know that you can change the colors. I just prefer keeping it clean and simple, and repeating colors for me is one way to do that. Also, it can perfectly be a dress with a belt, and then you have the little line, and so you do what you like, and what you feel is right for the coloring. And then for the boy, since I said it's going to be a really personal card, I decided to go for an olive kind of green. I personally love it when my husband when my husband wears that color, it's so good on him. So whenever I'm making a card, I'm trying to make it more personal towards the person that I would like to give it to. So that's why I used olive. It's not that I'm wearing pink, but I just really like the pink and olive combination when using markers. Next, I'm taking the die, and as you can see, it's also going to die cut the heart, but I will just snip that off and just keep that white border all over like the heart was never there. So really slowly, and that's my image. Now the rest of the card is really simple, but there are ways to change it however you like. So I die cut the love, and I wanted to check whether I was going to use it in white or in a color, and this is how it's going to look like, except that I'm going to use gray. I'm keeping the heart from the love in the back of my pocket here so that I can use it later on. And then I decided, well, maybe I can use some pattern paper. And I went for this paper pad from my favorite things, Fun in the Sun. And although I contemplated using the rainbow because that's just a gorgeous pattern paper as well, and you can definitely replace the one that I'm using by another one, something that I was trying to go for was finding lines. And then I saw this, and well, I got to know my husband when I was in high school. So I don't know if you remember or at what age you are right now, but I remember really scribbling inside of my notes everywhere where I could, hearts and stuff. And so using this pattern paper reminded me of taking notes during class, but being distracted by wanting to be with him and not in class. So to represent that, since we were, well, I was 15 and he was 17 when we got to know each other, I just thought, well, let's just use this pattern paper. If I didn't got this one, I would have used other lines and probably the rainbows that are still out there that you can see. It's so gorgeous. But I also didn't want the background to be too distracting, so it had to be really simple. That's what I was going for. So here I just adhered the panel completely on there, and I'm going to snip off the excess. This way I'm not wasting any paper. Okay, so that's the background. You can also do ink blending if you want to. And then for the sentiment, of course I was inspired by the amazing sentiments in this stamp set. But using the Our Love Story is my favorite or is best or anything was what I wanted to do. But with the size of the letters, I just didn't find it big enough, the sentiments in the set itself, to add it. And then I searched for alphabet sets with the size that I wanted to go with my background sort of lines, and I just couldn't find it. So normally I don't write things myself on cards because it just never works for me. But today, since it is a personal card, I thought, why not? So I just added our story above and underneath the love, and I'm going to later on trace it with a MICRON Fineliner or anything like that, whatever you have at hand, or in a color if you want to. And then on the bottom I am adding the first day that we got together, so since and then the date. It's an additional thing, you don't need to add it, but if you are going to give something to your loved one, I definitely think that you can add a date if you want to. But you don't need to. I think it can add something, but it's not that if you don't add a date on a card like this that the card wouldn't be beautiful. Of course it will. But first I sort of tried to get that layout from the love by inlaying it in a negative. As you saw me trying out, I used pinks, I used grays, and I just was still figuring out what I wanted to use. In the end, I'm going for the grays so that my image can really pop, and I will use pink hearts all over the card. So here I am tracing the letters that I just added myself, but if you have stamps and you can stamp straight, definitely do so if you want to. You can also use the sentiments from the stamp set, of course, or use love and then add a complete sentiment from this stamp set underneath or above the love. That would be gorgeous as well. Many ways again to create your own love story card. So I added the L, V and E, and now I'm going to add another layer of white, and then I will finish it off with the gray one. This way I have a bit of dimension that I played with, but not going over it. Another thing that I was doubting about was adding a shadow or not when adding these grays on top of the white, but I ended up not doing that. Why? Because, well, it would have been gorgeous, but my white was slightly off with the white of the pattern paper, and then I just prefer not doing that. So after adding the letters, I added the image using some Sizzix foam. I just wanted to pop it, so I needed some more dimension. And then I took my heart sprinkle mix here, but I'm only going to use the pinks. Personally, for me, when I'm adding embellishments, I tend to add the same ones every time, so I should actually start to sort of divide these hearts and just have all the reds together, all the pinks, all the whites. But yeah. So I'm definitely adding a heart where the stamp set also had one, because I just love that element. I just wanted to have the same hearts all over my card. So that's why I use the sprinkles. And then I'm using my embellishment wand to help me get everything in place. And whenever I am adding sprinkles, I'm always testing it out whether they are really stuck on there, because sometimes not every side of the sprinkle is straight, the way it's cut and stuff like that. So that's why I fiddled here a bit, but once they were in place, I decided to again go over story as well. I don't know if you saw me doing the hour, but there I drew a few lines on top of each other to really have a certain thickness, and the story there I didn't do that, and I was like, well, that's not really, well, sort of the same. So I just went over story as well, and then this card truly is completely finished. It's a really simple card, but I think it has a lot of power due to the fact that it's really personal. There are so many ways to recreate this card and make it your own side on your own pattern paper, your own embellishments if you want to. Other colors, maybe you have an amazing alphabet set that you really want to use. You can add the sentiment or love story is my favorite, or anything like that, just on top, above or underneath the love. That's also a wonderful idea. Truly, so many options. I had a lot of fun creating this card, and I'm so glad that you joined me today. I want to thank you all for stopping by, and I wish you an incredible day, and I'll be back soon. Bye!